Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? This is On the Road with Big Al. I thought I'd do a video. I got my coronavirus shot. I got my coronavirus shot yesterday. Doing pretty good. No side effects. My arm's a little sore today, but that's about it. Not too bad. I thought I'd do a video about what it's like driving during a pandemic for the last, it's been a little over a year now. It started on March 13th. A lot of you drivers kind of know what it's been like. Everybody has their own experiences. I'm kind of maybe doing this for people who don't drive a semi, kind of let them know what it was like this last year, with the way kinds of stuff was in the trucking world. First thing, on March 13th, I was backed into a dock in Tucson, Arizona. I was looking at my tablet, kind of reading what's going on, and then that's kind of when all the news started to break. All the news on the NBA shutting down, college basketball shutting down for the season, and kind of like, you know, I'm 48 years old. Nothing like that's ever happened in my entire life, and I'm sure like pretty much nobody's had to deal with anything like this in their entire lives. And you know, there's kind of uncertainty what was going to go on. Kind of quickly we kind of got reassurance they weren't going to shut down truck drivers, but I decided to stay on the road and kind of get as much trucking in as I could, because you know, everything, just the uncertainty on everything. So I kind of stayed out there when everything got shut down, and you know, everybody was staying at home. That was a pretty weird experience, being on the road and with no traffic, going through major cities. You know, kind of for the first time in my life, you know, you'd get through a major city and not run into any traffic or anything. Like one of the first cities I went through was Las Vegas, and it was almost like going through a ghost town. All the digital billboards were shut down. Kind of driving over the casino, you could kind of look, and the parking lots were empty. No traffic at all on the highways. It was just kind of like a weird experience. I hauled a couple loads up in Montana on Highway 90, which isn't a lot of traffic to begin with, and you'd probably drive 100 miles and see maybe 6 or 7 semis and one car. Like, seeing a car out there out in the middle of nowhere was like just you'd see him maybe 150 miles. It was just kind of strange. About a month in, my truck broke down, and I had to have it towed, and stayed at a hotel for 4 days. The hotel had like a main building and another building, and they put me into the other building, and I think I was the only person staying in that other building, and like there just was nobody staying in the hotel, which again was kind of strange, kind of dealing with being the only person. Like, I'd get up in the morning and go do something, go over and eat breakfast, and I'd never seen another person in that other building except for a lady cleaning lady that knocked on my door one morning and asked if I needed my hotel room cleaned. You know, dealing with before the pandemic, I kind of like just out of convenience, eating, I would just kind of eat at truck stops or whatever instead of bringing a bunch of food with me. For a couple reasons, I decided, because you know, a lot of things were getting shut down. You literally couldn't go sit down and eat a meal anywhere. Trucker lounges were shut down. You just couldn't hang out at a truck stop anymore, which I normally don't like hanging out at truck stops. I got everything I need inside my truck. I got a TV and everything. I got internet service, and I kind of like to just, when I'm done, just go hang out in my truck. But I kind of just avoid just going into the truck stop, and because a lot of places, like even like if you're at a truck stop and I don't like what restaurant they have, like, you know, like the Flying J's have Denny's, but you can't go in and sit down at a Denny's. Or, you know, another place has fast food. If I don't like that fast food place, a lot of times I'd walk over and get something else. Well, you know, during this pandemic, that was impossible because only drive-thrus were open. No sit-down places were open. So you kind of had to either, whatever was at the fast food place at the, like if it, at most places it's Subway, which, you know, you get sick of Subway pretty fast. So I decided kind of for two reasons. One, I'm from a really small town. We only have one grocery store, and it kind of like during this time I felt like it was important to try to support local businesses. And you know, I could go into the grocery store and you only run into, you know, there may be 2 or 3 other customers in there at a time. So it was pretty easy to keep your distance in these grocery stores, and I could get whatever I wanted. So when I then, you know, get on the road, I didn't have to deal with anybody, or you know, could kind of just stay in my truck and kind of stay to myself and not have to worry about going into a truck stop with big crowds. The only time I ever went into a truck stop for quite a while was just to go to the bathroom or something. When everything shut down and, you know, the quote essential businesses couldn't, only the essential businesses were running, and all the non-essential businesses and all these people were staying home, the rates dropped like bad. The rates are completely based on a supply and demand, and when, you know, 50, 60, 70, whatever percentage of businesses aren't even open, they're not ordering stuff, they're not having stuff shipped, and you still have the same amount of trucks out there. So the rates went way down low, and it kind of got to the point where, you know, I was wondering, a lot of truckers were just parking their trucks and not driving, and I kind of got to that point a couple times. Like, it's like I kind of went out, I didn't know if I was going to be able to make any money. You kind of, when you're at home, you can kind of look at loads and kind of get an idea what they paid, but kind of when you got out, when you delivered that load, like what's the next market going to bring? Because each market's different. Like, for instance, I was in the Denver area, and they were only paying 60 cents a mile, and I figure it takes, I kind of a rule of thumb, I figure it takes $1 a mile to operate my truck. So literally at 60 cents a mile, you are losing 40 cents every mile you're driving that truck, which it's unprofitable for. It's unprofitable to do. You might be able to do one load like that because you're trying to get home, and whatever they pay you, you might spend it on fuel. But if you get too many loads like that, you're going to lose money. It's not worth your time. But thank God they started, you know, after a little while, they started opening things back up again, and the rates started to go back up. And, you know, after a while, the rates have been really steady. It's just kind of been real interesting how things have went. You know, the longer things have went, the closer we've gotten to normalcy. Although a week and a half ago, I was in Atlanta, or probably a month and a half ago, I was in Atlanta, and they still, like, I was going to run over to get something to eat and use their restroom at a fast food place, and they were still closed. Only the drive-through was open. I feel like we're getting really close to opening things up and being completely normal. The NFL announced yesterday that they're expecting to have full stadiums. You know, I think it's just a matter of time. You know, it's just been an interesting year. I'm glad we're almost over it. I'm glad things are getting, you know, kind of close to normal. you know, just I hope everybody during all the truckers during this pandemic, you know, stayed safe. Kind of my biggest fear of it, I really wasn't scared of getting it, but kind of just, you know, the hassle if, you know, you get sick and really sick and you're on the road. You know, I really didn't want to spend 2 weeks or 3 weeks or however long it took to recover in my truck in an unfamiliar city. Because also, like, it kind of depended, but you'd go to some places and they would take your temperature, and, you know, if you were running a fever, they weren't going to let you on the property. So, you know, it's just like if you got sick, there's a, you know, chance you couldn't even get a load to get home. You might have to, you know, depending on how you felt, you might just have to hang out in your truck, which, you know, I really wouldn't want to deadhead 700, 800 miles just to get home either. It's just like, just from a practicality point, I really didn't want to get sick, you know. But I pretty much, you know, stayed healthy, made it through this. I've gotten one shot. 3 weeks from now, I'll get the second shot. You know, I hope all the truckers, you know, not only have stayed safe through coronavirus, but, you know, stayed safe out there on the road, trucking and everything. You know, everybody, thanks for watching On the Road with Big Al. Have a good day.